Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have to talk about the fact that the Odyssey's not looking so good. You would think that with a name like Christopher Nolan, you'd be immune from people's criticism, but that's not what's happening. There's a lot of negative response to the most recent trailer that was released publicly, and we're 2 weeks out away from this film. If it fails, it's going to be a very bad look for Nolan. But hey, he misses every once in a while. Could the Odyssey be a miss? I don't know, but let's talk about it. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I am trying to get to 50K, so double check you're still subscribed. If not, whether this is your first time or your 1000th time, it's absolutely free. Click that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications, and if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up as well, because you're going to love this video. It talks about some things that are going on behind the scenes and why there is a perception that it's possible the Odyssey may not do as well as it's anticipated. The story here from our friend Marvin Montanaro over at That Park Place. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey trailer gets buried under mass dislikes and controversies continue to mount. Now, who's surprised by that? I'm certainly not. And the more that people see what this thing actually is, the less they're excited to see the actual film. This is a problem that we've been seeing. It's kind of like a more advanced version of what happened with his last project, Tenet, before he got to the Oppenheimer project. This one is kind of that in-between zone where maybe this is going to be a miss. Maybe the structural changes to the story are going to frustrate moviegoers. Maybe people who know about the story of Odysseus are going to respond negatively. I'm just going to say it this way. This was a big risk, especially for the adaptation that Nolan chose, and in particular, the political activism of the artist, the writer, the person that they decided to choose from. Now, look, this already doesn't look good. You're looking at 39K upvote to 100K downvote at the time that this picture was taken. Lupita Nyong'o, that's Helen of Troy. I'm sorry. And yeah, Elliot Page for whatever character they're playing. It's not even Elpenor at this point. But Christopher Nolan has earned a reputation as one of Hollywood's most respected filmmakers. There's good reason for that, especially with his two Batman movies, not the third one, but the first two. And he's one of Hollywood's most respected filmmakers. No denying, but that hasn't shielded his latest project from mounting backlash because of, well, all of the political decisions being made around it. The newest trailer for The Odyssey has been hit with overwhelming wave of dislikes on YouTube, adding another chapter to the growing list of controversies surrounding Universal Pictures' adaptation of Homer's legendary epic, which I think a lot of us were forced to read at a young age and went back to do more willingly later on. And I'm sure that number will continue to go down. Now, this is a publicly available estimate from browser extensions you can get in many different forms. YouTube removed the dislike button for this very reason, because the actions of crowds have consequences, and they didn't want to lose the golden goose giving them more and more business on their platform. Now, the trailer sits at 39,000 likes compared to 118,000 dislikes, nearly 3-to-1 ratio. I don't imagine it'll get better. And the Odyssey dislikes reflect months of growing online frustration for many different reasons, including probably Elliot Page. Although we don't know what Elliot Page is actually doing, so I don't know just how frustrated anybody's going to be. But the backlash didn't suddenly emerge because of one trailer. Instead, The Odyssey has spent months generating controversy over casting decisions, creative choices, and Christopher Nolan's interpretation of one of the most influential stories ever written. But that's the problem. It's not just his interpretation. It's a crazy lady named Emily Wilson who decided to take it from a feminist point of view, which, let me say, has no place in this particular epic story. Back to it. Among the biggest flashpoints has been the casting of Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy, a decision many critics online have described as another example of Hollywood race-swapping iconic historical and mythological figures. Well, this has happened for quite some time, including over in the UK. Obviously, Netflix has done it many, many times, and the backlash is always the same for the very same reason. This isn't an accurate reflection of history, and I'm going to say it this way. I don't think they have any intention of reflecting history accurately, or at least based on the actual translation of the existing story. So the criticism continued when audiences learned that Zendaya would portray Athena, also odd. And of course, Athena being one of the central gods in Greek mythology, being presented in a way other than described is going to be tough for some people. And then for some viewers, the issue went beyond the another additional race swapping debate, but also arguing that Hollywood has become overly reliant on Zendaya. I don't know why. She's a plank of wood, but that's my opinion. And that's leading to what has commonly been described online as Zendaya fatigue. Well, I think that's being kind. And I am fatigued. I think many in the audience are. Let me know, are you fatigued with Zendaya? Let me know down in the comment section below right now. But let's jump back to the story. The promotional footage has also generated criticism over dialogue choices. Several clips feature characters referring to family members as dad and daddy, language that many viewers argue feels jarringly modern for a story rooted in ancient Greece. Critics contend that the dialogue undercuts the timeless mythological nature of the atmosphere that they were aiming for, at least with this Christopher Nolan adaptation. Now, this has been going on for a while. We've been given dialogue that doesn't seem to fit whatever story they're trying to tell, sometimes overly stilted or even more overly formal than would be utilized at the period in time. So the casting of Elliot Page aside as a male character has likewise generated discussion, becoming another point of contention for audiences already questioning several of the production's creative decisions. Yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere. This is going to be a conversation point for the next 2 weeks and beyond as we get to the opening of the film. 2 weeks from now, it'll still be the same conversation. It's just people will start seeing the film, and then word of mouth will be based on what is already not presenting itself in the best possible light. Another controversy arrived when Nolan cast rapper Travis Scott as a bard in the film, which clearly would not have occurred back then. Most fans question why the modern music's biggest rap stars has been included in the adaptation of the Odyssey. Nolan later explained his reasoning during an interview with Time, saying he viewed Homer's work as oral poetry that had been passed down through generations and believed that tradition was analogous to rap. What? That explanation became a controversy of its own. So some argued that the comparison felt forced, only reinforced concerns that the adaptation was attempting to modernize material that's endured nearly 3 millennia, and I'm going to say that's true. And taken individually, none of these controversies necessarily explain the trailer's overwhelming dislike ratio, other than it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel truthful, and it doesn't feel like it's born out of a point in history that we already very well understand. Yeah, Odyssey has faced persistent skepticism long before audiences have had the opportunity to judge the finished film. But that happens in everything in our modern culture these days. And oftentimes, those controversies are brought to the forefront by the stars in the cinema themselves, and even in television shows as well, if you want to look at what's happening over with the Harry Potter TV adaptation that looks like it's going to be complete garbage. Set all that aside for now. I normally would be like, well, trust Nolan. He's going to do a good job. After seeing the teasers, the trailers, and other clips, I am done saying that. I don't really think this film is going to represent what I would see in my mind's eye, which is ultimately what everybody going into a film is hoping for, especially for a adaptation of something that's so historic and has been accurate up until, fairly recently. Modern Hollywood does its level best to kill anything that has any kind of a past. They want to leave that behind and have you live their way, the new way, which they think is the right way. The question is, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Are you going to go see the Odyssey? Should we just trust Nolan and shut up? Is there a chance there'll be a good movie here? Or is the adaptation too politically laden for anybody to ignore? All of those are good questions. I would love to have the answers from you. Because guess what? In 2 weeks, I got to go see this thing. And maybe, just maybe, I'll see a movie so you don't have to. On that note, Let me know what you think. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Hopefully at a better film. Sounds like an Odyssey. Yikes.